I'm really upset about this right now. I'm a nearly adult female, and my parents divorced 5 years ago. It was rough. They hate each other and still have trouble doing anything together, where I'm concerned. So I try not to talk about them to each other and just keep things separate. The fighting and chaos were hard on me during the divorce and affected my mood and schoolwork. So my dad felt bad and let me get a dog to help me feel better. Someone nearby had Malamute puppies, so I picked out one, and his name is Tycho, and he's my best friend. Even during the weeks that I'm with my mom, I stop by after school every day to take him to the dog park to play and get his cuddles in. I love this dog. My dad started dating Melanie a few years ago. I don't really connect with her. We're just really different, and she's way too touchy, but she makes my dad happy, so whatever. Her son, Ben, pre-tween, is autistic and needs a lot of accommodations. He gets really upset and has meltdowns when things change or are done differently. He's also really scared of Tycho, even though as far as I know, Tycho's never done anything to scare him. He's a really laid-back and well-behaved dog. Dad and Melanie recently got engaged, and they want to go ahead and move her and Ben in so that they can get rid of their apartment and save money. My dad told me about it and said that since Ben is afraid of Tycho and needs a stable environment at home, Tycho's going to have to go somewhere else. My mom's townhouse doesn't have room for him, and my grandparents aren't in good enough health to look after a big dog, so we would have to rehome him. I admit I didn't take it very well, and we had a big fight. I told him there was no way I was going to give up my dog, and I was going to college next year anyway, so they could put off the move until the spring when I could find a place to take him with me. My dad says they need to make the move over the holidays, and Ben is more important than a dog. I told him if he gives away my dog, I'll never forgive him, and that he obviously thinks Ben is more important than me too. My dad is mad because I'm making this a choice between his fiance and me. Basically, Melanie's having second thoughts about the engagement since I don't want to live with them, and my mom is mad at my dad and they're fighting again. I'm afraid to leave Tycho alone because he might not be there when I return. My aunt says I'm being childish, and my dad deserves to be happy. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I usually side with the parents, but rehoming your dog because he can't wait 6 months to move his girlfriend into the house seems like he is choosing his girlfriend over his child, and that's a huge no-no. Melanie's son does have a right to feel safe in his own home, but that doesn't include forcing you to get rid of your dog. That's not a legitimate thought to have. Maybe Melanie should have second thoughts about your dad. Agreed. Both OP's dad and Melanie think too much about themselves and not enough about their kids' needs. Dad just didn't give OP a dog, but Dad gave her a dog essentially as an emotional support animal. He got her a dog to help her emotionally stabilize, and now he wants to remove OP's primary self-regulating support system. It's cruel and re-traumatizing. OP, I would ask your mom if she'll take him to get chipped, so if your dad pulls something, you'll have a better chance of getting him back. Also, your dad and Melanie have other choices, like working with her son on feeling more comfortable around dogs. I've worked with autistic kids and have autistic relatives. It'd be much better for everyone to get him used to dogs, rather than have you guys give away an animal you love. He doesn't even have to like the dog or do anything with it, just not be scared or uncomfortable with it. Adding, notice something that's a huge red flag. Melanie's having second thoughts about moving in if you would be moving out. That makes me think she intended to make you watch your kid while she and your dad did whatever they wanted. I hadn't considered that, but wow, you're right. OP, please make sure to address this exceedingly important topic, like now, and make your boundaries exceptionally clear. Melanie has decided that Ben is the most important person in the universe, and everyone needs to fit their lives around him. The idea that Ben should have to adjust to something he doesn't like is abhorrent to her. She's the kind of person who would move next to an airport and demand that the plane stop landing because Ben doesn't like the noise. Update. Am I the idiot for refusing to give up my dog? I talked to my mom and grandparents after school. I brought Tycho to my mom's place this afternoon, and I'll take him to my grandparents tomorrow. I'm going to split my time between them and my mom for a while, and my grandparents said that if I go to college nearby, I can live with them while I study to ensure I don't lose my dog. I'm looking at 2 years at a local college and then transferring to a university later. I went online and ensured his chip information was up to date with all of my info, and my mom is backup. Pretty sure all heck is going to break loose, but honestly, I'd do almost anything not to lose my dog, including just not going to college right now, if that's what I have to do. He takes care of me, so I have to take care of him. Honestly, it's been a rough few days. My dad flipped his crap when I told him I wasn't coming back to his place, and he and my mom are duking it out right now. My mom's lawyer asked me a bunch of questions and said not to worry about it. Melanie called to find out what was going on, so I told her that if living with her and Ben meant that I lose my dog, I was just not going to live there anymore, and she tried to talk me out of it because my dad didn't want to lose me, but I told her that's just how it is, so I think they're fighting now too. My grandparents said my dad was being totally unreasonable and he was not allowed to come on their property. Gonna be fun. I'm just gonna stay at my grandparents' and try to keep my head down until I go back to school. But Tycho seems to like it here. He has a lot more space to run around and still gets to sleep next to my bed. So he's happy, at least. Not the idiot, but your dad is, though. Glad you were able to find someplace safe for your dog. I'm sorry your father's being unreasonable and is ready to put your happiness aside for his. I'm very confused why he thinks you would just be cool with getting rid of your dog. And I find it odd that the stepson isn't in therapy for his fear of dogs. Because what's he going to do if he gets a friend or is out in public and there's a dog? Not everyone is going to accommodate like that. I feel the real culprit is the dad's fiance. She knew the dog had nowhere to go, but she didn't care as long as she could save money by moving in ASAP. If she really loved the dad, she would do anything not to make things even more difficult between him and the ex-wife. What is a couple more months if she keeps the peace? And she would have earned brownie points by playing considerate future stepmother instead of a heartless witch. I continue to wish you all the best. A little bit of background before I get to my question. I make several times more than my wife, and our finances are completely separate. At the beginning of our relationship, we talked about how finances would be handled, and there was a little conflict. She wanted an arrangement where we both paid the same percentage of our income towards bills and such, e.g., since I make around 6 times more than her. For example, a bill of $100, I'd pay $86 while she pays $14. I wasn't okay with this arrangement because it felt like I was essentially subsidizing her lifestyle. I wanted an arrangement where we lived within her means and stuck to 50-50. For example, if she's paying $1,000 a month for rent previously, I would match it with another $1,000, and we could find a place to live in for $2,000. This has meant that during our marriage, I've been living a lifestyle far below what I could afford, but it's not really been a big issue for me. Other than the occasional tech, I don't need much else. I'm happy living in a house that's a little smaller, going on cheaper dates, etc. In the past, there have been cases where there's something I really wanted to do, like buy a nicer car or go on holiday someplace. And in those cases, I've paid fully for both of us. I'm very happy with the life we've built. A few days ago, we went out on a couple's dinner with several of our friends, and financial living arrangements came up. Our friends mostly opted to use the first arrangement I mentioned above, so they each reacted differently when they heard about ours. Notably, the women were shocked and insisted our arrangement was unfair, although they couldn't quite explain why it was unfair. When we got home, I could tell the conversation had really gotten to my wife, and the next day she asked if we could renegotiate our financial living arrangements again. I told her that I'd be willing to discuss it, but personally I felt the arrangement that we had was perfectly fair. Frankly, I don't understand why the way we do things is so controversial. I'm the one who put in the work to earn my degree and the experience to earn as much as I did before I even met my wife. Why should anyone else feel entitled to it? Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Your wife is supposed to be your partner. So this, why should she feel entitled to my money bit, is weirdly selfish and antagonistic. She's your partner, and you should want to help improve each other's lives. People have almost certainly explained why your arrangement is unfair and gross in a marriage. You either don't care or you disagree, which is fine, I guess. Still, there are better ways to establish a healthy and lasting relationship. I think our arrangement is perfectly fair because I make 6 times as much money as you do, so I benefit greatly from our arrangement. Is a great way to establish an ex-wife seeking alimony. So if that's what you're looking for, carry on, buddy. OP is living in an equal marriage where each pays everything equally. The problem is marriages should be equitable. People don't understand the difference between these two words, and it causes many issues with many different things. OP, you are the idiot. Be equitable, not equal. That part killed me. Subsidizing her lifestyle? Tell me you don't respect your wife without telling me you don't respect your wife. Oh, and you're not living within her means. Living within her means would be living in a place she can afford solo and going 50-50. If she's paying $1,000, you move in and pay 50%. The way you have it set up, you're living outside of her means and financially draining her, leaving her very little extra cash. She agreed and got much nicer accommodation as a result, so I can't really call anyone the idiot, but I would have never agreed to something like that. I agree. This marriage is actually draining her of resources and autonomy, a very dangerous thing with a man this transactional. You are the idiot, OP. You're saving substantially and not allowing her to do the same or benefit from that at all. You're not being frugal. You're using your income to keep your wife dependent on you. You do realize that if you divorce, she's entitled to half of everything, right? And probably alimony. I, female 24, am getting married to my partner, female 26, in the summer of next year. We're both excited and can't wait to be married. It's not a huge wedding. We have around less than 100 guests, including the wedding party. The reception's going to be held at a local hotel with music and a buffet. My brother Keith, 33, is married and has 2 kids. The youngest, Haley, female pre-tween, is autistic. She's verbal most of the time, but it's quite a handful. Haley is very prone to meltdowns and gets extremely upset if her routine is changed. Keith has asked my partner and me not to play music at the reception. He said that Haley doesn't tolerate loud noises and he doesn't want her to have a meltdown. We agreed that this was unreasonable and told him that we couldn't have our reception party with no music. I suggested that he buy some noise-canceling headphones for Haley, but apparently that wouldn't cut it. He implied that we should be offering to buy the headphones anyway if it's such an issue. He came back to us and said he'd compromise. He said we should only play very quiet music at the reception. I told him absolutely not. Keith got upset and said that he wanted Haley to be included in the party and that we weren't making any steps to accommodate her. He said that she's part of the family too, and we're pushing her out. I kind of feel like I'm on the fence because I want to include Haley, my niece, and I love her. But at the same time, I want the celebration to be the way my partner and I envisioned. Not the idiot. I'm all for inclusion for people who are neurodivergent, but the solution was either earplugs or noise-canceling headphones. He didn't want to do that, and that's on him. Asking someone to change their entire wedding party for one person is excessive. It sounds like he can't get a sitter because she gets overstimulated easily and probably is concerned about how she's treated when she's not there or can't afford a professional. Or maybe he just wanted her to experience what a wedding was like. Both are great excuses, honestly, but he needs to accommodate her comfort levels, not you. And no music means no dancing, no first dance, no mother and SO, and father-daughter dances. What the heck are they going to do the whole reception with no music? Maybe if this had come up when you started planning, you could have done a short cocktail reception if you were inclined. With no music and dancing as an activity, no one will stay once they eat the cake. Okay, as a mom of an autistic boy, that's your brother's job to buy his kid stuff to help them function in the outside world. If music upsets her and he doesn't want to pay for headphones, then get a babysitter. What's going to happen when she's older? Does he think that the world will pay to accommodate her? He needs to grow up. It's his responsibility. I'm a single mother with 2 kids. I was divorced about 4 months ago and went from living in a 3,500 square foot house to a 2-bedroom apartment with my boyfriend. It's been such a hard adjustment that I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. The whole thing, not just the apartment. My apartment is 1 building with 4 units, but they only put 3 parking spots right in front of the door for whatever reason. That means it's next to impossible for me to get my kids out of the car, walk across the parking lot without being put in real danger if one of those spots isn't open. I tried talking to the management, and they said that assigned spots are more hassle than they're worth, and said to talk directly to the neighbors. So I asked if the spot closest to the door could be reserved for me. Basically, all of them said no, in varying manners of rudeness, by the way. My kids are with their dad for his time, since he has them 60% of the time, so I decided to try again without them around, since the conversation would be the same, more adult to adult. 2 of my neighbors didn't even respond, and the 3rd said, "You get one of the spots in front often enough. Why is this even an issue?" I said I needed them all the time as a single mother. He said, "You are a real piece of work for trying to play that card. The other spots are maybe 20 feet further away." I said it's not the distance. It's that I have to have my kids walk across this parking lot. He said, "It's a life skill," and shut the door in my face. Am I the idiot for asking my neighbors to park in different spots so I can have access to the ones close to the building? Edit. With a teen and a pre-tween, we always have a load of stuff. School stuff, groceries, video games, etc. And it would just be so much easier to have one of those close spots. Wow. Entitled much? You are the idiot. I once was a young, single, and newly divorced mother adjusting to apartment life as well. That didn't make me special, and it doesn't make you special either. Pay attention to your kids and teach them safety, and it all should be fine. Why is being a single mother a factor for a car spot? Why do some people feel that parenthood somehow raises their social status in society and/or earns them special privileges? I'm sorry that you're going through a hard time, and I do hope it gets better for you. But unless there's some kind of mobility issues or disability at play here, you're not more or less deserving of the spot in comparison to everyone else. The man is right. Walking across a parking lot is a life skill. I had 1 ounce of sympathy when I assumed she had babies or toddlers. The kids are tween and pre-tween. I'm really confused about this danger you see here. Is it just walking across a parking lot? Why is that dangerous? Did you forget to include that you have to cross a busy highway, or the parking lot is full of coyotes? Maybe the parking lot is made of lava. Oh, and she's a single mother who already has a boyfriend mere months after a divorce. Gee, I wonder which came first. OP, so you cheated, and now you're reaping the consequences of destroying your family. You're a part-time mother that doesn't even have her kids the majority of the time. You are indeed a piece of work, and you didn't come here for advice. You came here for backup.